Oh, it's dark and it's miserable and we're in the middle of this awful winter lockdown. But I'm sure you'll be cheered up by the conversation I have with Rich Huxley, who is the musical director of Music from the Attic, which is a community group, Kirkstall Educational Cricket Club, who get together and make music. I think you're going to really enjoy the conversation. Rich was a really good laugh and made me feel a bit better on a miserable grey day. Have a listen. On this episode of Light on Leeds Corona Bloody Virus Extraordinary Episodes, I have Rich Huxley, who has remotely connected to come and speak to me today. Hello, Rich.
Hello, lovely. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad at all. Thank you very much. It's what is it? It's nearly half term, isn't it? So we've got a bit of time off from homeschooling next week, so that's exciting.
Oh, I bet you can't wait for that.
Kind of half and half. Part of it is, like at least with homeschooling, at least you've got activities to do. There's a plan. Now we've got a plan, but yeah, I'm looking forward to a bit of time off from that. Yeah.
Yeah, I did notice your post on Facebook where what your children have obviously learned to not leave sweet treats around near you when they leave the room.
Yes, I am what they like to refer to as a chocolate bin. If it's sweet and tasty and it's left somewhere, then I consider it mine.
So they are learning lessons in life, if nothing else.
Yeah, it'll have to do, won't it?
And so, Rich, you're here today because you're the musical director of Music from the Attic.
I suppose I am, yes. It sounds very posh, that, doesn't it? That expression, musical director. But yeah, I lead a Music from the Attic, which is I hesitate to use the word kind of community music group because community music sounds a bit rubbish, doesn't it? But no, they're really, a really good band of non-professional musicians who like to get together and play and sing and, spread joy and musicality throughout Yorkshire.
Fabulous. How did that start in the first place?
Well, like a lot of the things that I do by accident, I've had about 4 jobs that I've got because of happenstance or whatever. So yeah, I got in touch with, what year did we have the floods in Leeds?
Oh, I don't know. Everything seems a long time ago.
In my head, I've got it down as I think it was like 2016 or something like that, maybe. Maybe it was earlier, maybe it was 14. I can't remember. But whenever we had those big floods, I used to live on Kirkstall Road, and I was and there's a band I'm in called Hope and Social, and we'd just done a big project in 2014, 2015. Yeah, it will have been, and we'd been all over the county, and we'd been teaching people how to play with us, and it'd been great. We'd done loads of cool stuff, and I'd lived in Kirkstall for years, and I'd lived in Leeds since like 98. And I had a bit of a mental note that I was like, I'd like to do something that's not just all over Yorkshire. I'd like to do something where I live. And also I'd like to do something where I can, a little bit of like, I want to do something that's about the place I'm at rather than delve all over the place doing.
Yeah, be a bit more specific.
Yeah. And so I saw a tweet from Music from the Attic and it said, we're a Monday night music club. We're about to start out of Kirkstall Educational Cricket Club. We're going to meet on a Monday. And so I replied, I was like, that sounds great. So I replied and I said to Nick Davis, another one of your podcastees, I replied to it and said, my name's Rich and I've done a bit of gigging and that. And I can't be there every Monday, but, if I can help out at all, I'd like to. And I got a direct message back. The message said, hi Rich, it's Nick. We did that thing where you taught us how to play your songs with your band on a bus, and now we've got a bit of funding to do a Monday nights thing. And I was like, oh, Monday nights? Yeah, well, all of a sudden funding, you say, yeah, I've got some time. I can so I kind of accidentally swooped in and took over, really. And yeah, I think that was 2015. I think we had the floods, and then 2016, by the summer, we'd started going with Music from the Attic.
Yeah, so the way that Nick described it to me was that he was thinking about the fact that he'd had a couple of guitars lying around in his home and he'd not used them for quite some time. And I think, I don't know if it's expanded, but I know originally he was saying that it was basically for people who were, in inverted commas, lapsed musicians who perhaps hadn't picked up an instrument for a while.
Yeah, I think that's where the name came from, the idea of having like your exactly that, an instrument in the attic that you needed to dust off. I can't take any credit for that. That was already fully formed before I arrived. So yeah, we met like one Monday, and then I think there were like 5 or 6 people there, and then over the course of like the next 12 months ago or so, that kind of developed into Oh, crikey, I don't know, like, we must have, like, full tilt, we must have, like, 20, 30 people.
Really? Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's a great noise. It's nice to get together with people and make a big noise, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And so you've done all sorts of things. You've headlined Kirkstall Festival,
Mm.
played at Lord Mayor's charity dinner. That's amazing.
Yeah, we got to do some lovely stuff. We really like Kirkstall Festival because, it's where it feels like a home gig. And we've obviously been asked to do this. We were asked to do last year's, which obviously didn't happen. They've
No.
asked us to pencil this year's. We got to play with an event that Music Leeds organised at Millennium Square. We got to do that. And yeah, during lockdown, we've made videos and recorded songs, and we've written songs and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, the way I try to think of it is like, what should bands do? Bands should do the things that bands do. So we should do gigs, learn songs, write songs, record songs, make videos. That's what I generally think about anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I was watching the video for See What I Can See, which is it's a great video. It's got real joy in it. And I love the way that you set it out with the TV screens. And so you can see all the various people stacked up on top of each other.
Yeah, it's good. I can't take full credit for that, actually. That's I've got to hand the credit for the video making over to Simon Wainwright, who also happens to be in Open Social. But he's got the video skills that I really don't. But yeah, so it was recorded kind of pretty much in lockdown. We managed to get one day of recording in over the summer, where kind of one person would come in at a time and sit at the other end of a room from me. But a lot of it was just sent in from people in their, in their kitchens or whatever. But it's a song about, making Yorkshire your home, and so it should have felt inclusive and all of those things. It's about being welcoming in a place.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely 100% does have that feel about it. Because I featured it on the podcast that I did with Cheska Joy,
Yes.
and I just thought it fitted perfectly, especially with everything she was talking about.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. That was great. I think that was my introduction to Light on Leeds. Actually, I think that was how I happened upon you.
Oh, lovely. And so, has it been very difficult, Rich? I mean, in your capacity with Music from the Attic, to go from being able to meet in person, be able to hear and see each other, and to be able to perform. I mean, that has got to have been a big change when the weird situation that we're in now happened.
Yeah, it's hugely different. Like, it's definitely not the same, because in an online situation, all you can do is, like, there isn't an online thing which solves the problem of latency, of there being a time gap. So you cannot play together. You can play along with the recording of someone and then stitch that together, or as we do every Monday for Kirkstall, and then every Wednesday for Methley, there's another group. We get together online, and everyone gets to play with me, so I can still lead it, but it's certainly not the same. And you don't get the little break in the middle where everyone gets to, have a natter and a catch up. We do that, but we can't go to the bar either during or after. So yeah, it's definitely different. But the social aspect of it, I think, is certainly for one of the groups has maybe become even more important. The fact that is for some people, potentially the only time they get to hang out with people, even though it is on the internet. And I think that's become, equally important. So yeah, it's definitely difficult, but it's still, I feel, fulfilling an important function, I think.
Yeah, definitely, because it's still it's just a different way of looking at things, isn't it? It's still a social activity when you all get together, albeit online.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just getting to see people in various different places, and we were thinking about doing a show and tell sometime, so that basically everyone gets to take over for a night, or for 20 minutes, or possibly even anonymize our Zooms so no one can tell who's who.
Or you could do like who's
yes, exactly that. Bit of through the keyhole. Who would live in a house like this? We're thinking about doing that. But yeah,
that would be awesome.
Yeah. It's I'm only in it for the nattering and the admin. Really, I'm sick of music. I've had enough of music. I just want to talk with people and have a nice time.
So you talked a little bit about the fact that you were also in the band Hope and Social. How long has that band been going on?
Oh, my days. I've been in Hope and Social. So Hope and Social started, I think, in 2009.
Wow, yeah.
Or maybe even 2008. We'd kind of started making a record already, but I think we put our first release out and had our first gigs in 2009. I think that was when it all began. And Yeah, but even before that, I've been playing with Simon and Ed, who are in the band since 1995 in various
Right.
things. So we're very familiar.
And well, everybody absolutely loves you. You've got a huge following, a huge fan base. I mean, I can remember even from the very first time I started doing the podcast, people were mentioning you, and I was hearing about you here and there. And I absolutely love that new track that you've got
Oh,
out.
thanks. Well, yeah, we've been the next big thing a fair few times, but never really actually realised that.
Oh no! And how do you feel about that? Is that sort of a double-edged sword in a way? Because I can imagine that as much as you might want to become really well known and become a millionaire and have your other house in LA as well as your one in Kirkstall, I think also there must be like a big downside to that, sort of pressure-wise and industry-wise and all that kind of thing. How do you feel about that?
I imagine that it's like all jobs, whatever the job is, they all come with a level of crap, don't they? And
Yeah,
I guess it's just a different type of crap. I mean, like, I don't know many people who say, not having to think about money has made my life more difficult. I think
yeah,
there's, a
yeah,
level of like a level of well-offness that affords you the time not to have to think about, are we going to clear this month's rent?
yeah,
I'm not necessarily in that position now where I am thinking about that, but certainly I have been in the past. And
yeah,
now that things are a bit more stable, and I guess I've got what people call a portfolio career. There's the band, there's some, there's the stuff with Music from the Attic. There's a ukulele group I run. I do some songwriting workshops in, Singapore, and I do lots of different things. So I've been quite well insulated, I guess, this past 12 months from, because like all the money comes from lots of different places. Even if something
yeah.
has been threatened, I suppose, by the coronavirus bloody extraordinary episode situation, then I've been able to kind of adapt and take on stuff. But yeah, I think fame itself, that sounds pretty arduous, a bit over the top.
Yeah.
But being well off, I think I'd be all right with that.
Yeah, it'd be great if you could just have one without the other, but I'm not sure that works out.
But being well off's relative as well, isn't it? Like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm no doubt very rich by comparison to the majority of the world.
Yeah, that's the thing,
Just
isn't
not
it?
compared to, Jacob Rees-Mogg or prime ministers who, put money into hedge funds that will benefit from destroying the British economy and things like that.
Yeah, and as much as there's all that power and money, I'm not sure I'd want to be either of those people.
Maybe for a day. That'd be interesting, just to see what it's like.
Just to shake it up to see what they do when they got
Yeah,
back.
you just
See all the things you've
to see if
changed.
there is any, self-awareness or self-loathing, any of that. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm imagining there's not, but we could try it as an experiment. So do you worry for the future for the arts? Is that something that you think about? Because I mean, a lot of people I get on the podcast are either in, theatre, music, art, and it just seems like a very dark time for people, doesn't it? And I think a lot about the young bands who are, just emerging and were just ready to go out
Yeah.
and start doing gigs and things, and then this hit them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, am I worried about it? Like, it's not the thing that's filling my days. Like, there's other things for me
Yeah,
to be worried about, but I'm definitely aware that, well, I mean, I haven't done a gig for a year.
that must feel terrible to you because you gigged a lot.
It's difficult, I think, for people who've got, like, I've done other jobs in the past, but I've not really felt like what I've done for a job has been entwined with, like, who I am as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's different in, as an artist. If you like self-identify as an artist or a musician or, whatever it is, and then the thing that you do is then taken away, that you can't do it. And we can still do some of it, like I say, Music from the Attic have released songs and videos, and Hope and Social have made an EP, and we're on with making an album, and we've done like a live stream. So we've been pretty fortunate again in being able to kind of adapt a little bit, but there's really nothing to replace the feeling of, standing in a room with 400 people and like having a shared moment that you're involved in making. Like, getting to do that is a big payoff. I love making records. I love making albums. I love, doing creative things. But ever since I've, as long as I can remember. The thing I really like is getting in a room with people and sharing a significant, like a never to be repeated thing that happens in a space. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a musician or anything myself, and I don't really do anything on a performance-wise scale, but I used to really enjoy going to the theatre, and I used to write reviews for the local paper, and there's just something really, just like you've just explained, you're part of a moment, aren't you? Even if that play is going to happen again and again, that you're never going to see it the way you saw it that night. And also the cinema, like I really love going to the cinema. I always go to see the big Marvel films. And there's something about being sat in a room with a group of people who all are totally into the same thing that you are.
I'm glad you brought that up. I am currently wearing my Iron Man t-shirt.
Iron Man's actually my worst one.
Oh no. I'm going to hang up.
I always thought he was a little bit, I always thought he was like so full of himself. But then obviously, I won't give any spoilers, but like towards the end, I obviously had to hang my head in shame for all the bad thoughts I'd had about Iron Man over the years.
I think what I liked about him is I like the Iron Man character because I think it's a little bit of, what's he called? Robert Downey Jr. has obviously had, like the story of Iron Man, early doors is like, genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, falls from grace, brings it back. I mean, that is kind of the story of Robert Downey Jr. to some degree. Like,
it is. I totally see what you're saying. Like, yeah, it really is.
I'm not encouraging the use of drugs, but I do very much enjoy the story of him getting arrested when they had to break into the hotel room he was in, and it was just him with coke everywhere. Only him dressed as Wonder Woman, just bezzing round like as if. You're just like obviously the man was clearly a mess, but if you're going to be a mess, that seems like a fairly at least you dress up as Wonder Woman. Dress up as Wonder Woman and race round a flat until you get thrown out of it by the hotelier. So I kind of like that, and I also like it was the Iron Man stuff was written by who wrote Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Who's that guy?
He's in big trouble at the minute. That guy. I was just reading about him yesterday.
Really? How so? Why? What's happened?
Is it Joss Whedon?
It is Joss Whedon. What's Joss Whedon done?
Oh no, it's just a terrible another hashtag Me Too moment. Where you're like, just another one of your heroes falls from grace.
I'm sorry. Start this podcast. You don't like Iron Man. Joss Whedon's getting cancelled. Jesus.
None of those things are actually right. So
what are we talking about again?
So coronavirus has ruined everything for everybody. It is nice to see these little pockets of hope, I think, and like especially for me doing this podcast, I usually get to speak to at least 2 people a week who are doing fantastic things and really making the most out of a really bad situation.
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad you do.
Helps keep me boiled up.
And I was going to say, like, in terms of, you said you don't do anything that's like a performance. Like, does this not feel like a performative thing for you?
It kind of doesn't, and I think the only way I can carry on doing it is to not think of it like that. If you see what I mean? Like, I just have conversations with people who I think are interesting. That's kind of how I see it. And when I first started doing it, I could never bear to hear the sound of my own voice. But one of the good things is through immersion therapy, by doing the podcast, I've had to get used to that.
But they must be different to your normal conversations.
No, kind of not. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other week who was asking me, they wanted to do their own podcast, and they were asking me about, like stuff like politics and things. And I was saying, well, I try to kind of steer away from it because I'm aware of the fact that as far as I'm concerned, I do this podcast for everybody who's in Leeds. So anything anyone could be interested in, and I'm aware that we're a very divided country in many ways. So I try and steer away from it, which if you knew me in real life, I'd never steer away from it. So there's a little bit of that, but if somebody's talking about something and I agree with them, then I'll have that conversation with them. But no, I don't sort of see it as a performance, really. Right. I think the hardest bit for me is recording the intro and the outro because I'm not actually talking to someone. I've got to come up with something to say.
Yeah, well, I find it difficult to see anything as not a performance. I can
Yeah.
see on the screen in front of me, the Zencaster screen. I can see that you've got your little waveform that's recording there, and I can see mine's recording as well. So immediately I'm like, oh, red light's on. I best be good.
Yeah, I suppose it's a funny old thing, really. I suppose it is. I suppose it is performing in a sense, but I just don't kind of think of it that way.
Well, I will try to also not think of it that way as well.
Good. Now the pressure's off. So personally, have you? It sounds to me like you're an incredibly busy person. Anyway, you've got all of these. You've got your band that you're involved in. Anyway, all of your groups that you're doing various things with. Have you had to look for extra things to do during lockdown, or are you already everything? You sound like you're just jam packed.
Yeah, it's pretty busy. Obviously, the homeschooling has like added a whole wealth of stuff. So I've had to maybe like I'm definitely not doing all the admin that I should be doing.
Yeah.
No, but I was very fortunate in that, like early doors. So 11 months ago or whenever it was. As soon as kind of that, as soon as we got that kind of like it's going to lock down situation, I think I'd already started to run all three of my kind of weekly community band things online. I think we'd made a decision to do that before the government had,
Right.
because of the evidence. And
you could have done that all the way along, just 2 weeks before it.
yeah, it's felt like that, hasn't it? I'm still
Yeah.
waiting for them to apologise for Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very fortunate in that stuff moves online and people, because like a lot of what I do is on a pay what you want basis. People were just, vocally, like I work for an art centre in Goole, and like they were the first people to call me and just to say, just to let you know, the next 2 sessions are on. Next term is on. We don't know what's happening after that, but we're and like that immediately made me go, all right, because my wife's a teacher and does supply, and supply teaching just stopped immediately as well.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, because they didn't want people, I guess, going in and out of schools and whatnot. I think that's possibly changed a little bit now, as time has gone past. But those early days when no one had, an idea of what was going to happen. So yeah, I definitely felt early doors. I felt that kind of we've got a mortgage to pay and 2 kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, the art centre were great. Music from the Attic in Kirkstall, great. People getting in touch and being like, we're going to transfer money into PayPal straight away, and likewise with the group in Metley. So that all happened, and then like as a self-employed person, you have to hustle, don't you? Like it's the whole the whole of the last 20 years has been kind of like, how do I get through this? So it's just a slightly different take on that, really. So yeah, I went straight into a couple of online record making things with people, got in touch with people who I knew wanted to make songs but had not necessarily realized a full recording of a song and stuff. And then it kind of settled down really into a bit of a routine. As time's gone by, understandably, and as money has got tighter for people, particularly those who aren't necessarily in work or whatever, sometimes the pay what you want isn't quite as chunky as it was before. But Hannah's now working. My wife's now working. She's in like 5 days a week on a medium term contract. So that's going to get us. Even if I stopped working now, whereas previously she wasn't. Even if I stopped, she could definitely support me better than I can. Her having a proper job.
Yeah.
And none of this farting around being an artist or whatever. It's only art. She does something that matters.
Oh. It all matters.
Shaping minds matters, doesn't it? Matters.
And so how have your kids found it during lockdown? Has it been, I don't know what ages they are, but have you had to sort of explain things to them? Are they missing friends?
4 and 7. So I think they're pretty bored of it. Like they would definitely like to see people. And I think the youngest, she's said a few things a few times that have, been like open heart surgery, just like, oh God, you're feeling it, aren't you? And there's nothing I can do,
Yeah.
So I think particularly for the young un, but for both of them, they should be interacting with their friends. They should be hanging out and having a nice time and doing that kind of stuff. And like schooling's one thing. I'd rather they cancelled school and allowed people to hung out. Hung out? That's not a word, sentence. Can't speak. Sorry, words, order, sentence, right, can't get in, or something. Yeah, I think they'd really like to see their mates, and we've been, like, certainly in this round of it, we've been pretty strict. Obviously, they could do some hanging out with kids over the summer and stuff, with just like the people who are on our block.
Yeah, of course.
And we allowed that, and they're young, and we were like, you can't control their social distancing if they're unless you're with them all the time. So we allowed them that, and
yeah, of course.
and I think that's good. But this time, like, we really haven't done the letting them hang out thing. And also, it's not really it's not the weather for it either.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Yeah, I think that's what's made this particular stage of this particular lockdown really difficult. Just to be in winter and being inside and not being able to sit in the street or even like wave to neighbours and things.
We've had a couple of Zoom discos for the kids.
Oh, that's nice.
Better than nothing. Yeah. But it's rough, isn't it? It's rough for kids. I think also for older kids who've been, like the youth have been much maligned.
Oh gosh, yeah. And I think back to my days when I was a teenager. And I was all into, sort of underground clubbing and things like that. And I just don't think anybody would have been able to keep me in. And I hate this whole, I don't want to go down the thing of blaming groups of people for behaviour. Or I think that's not helpful. And I also think it distracts from concentrating on who is responsible for all of this.
Rounds of applause here, mate.
So, Rich, you said that you have lived in Leeds since 1998. So that's definitely time enough for you to be qualified to answer the 3 questions that I always ask every guest. The first question being, what would you say is great about the city of Leeds?
I still feel like it's exciting. Like, I don't often get to go out and do the things that I used to, but what could be better than Mojo when you've been to 4 bars already and then you go to Mojo and have that cocktail? One of the best bars in the world. What feels more exciting than just walking past the town hall and feeling that, the grandeur of it, but also against that kind of drab Yorkshire stone background, the contrast. I like lots about Leeds. I like that within 5 minutes you can feel like you're in the country, but also you can feel like you're in a city and get the exciting bits of that. I like lots of things about Leeds. I like the arts in Leeds. I like how the music scene is. I like Brudenell Social Club is what I like.
Yeah.
Is that enough?
That's definitely enough, yeah. And if you had to choose something that's not so great, what would you go for?
Oh, it's tough, isn't it? Because you don't want to, I don't want to badmouth the city I come from. Sometimes I feel like the let's say Leeds City Council. And I know people in the council, and I know lots of really good people doing good things in Leeds City Council, but I have also worked with Leeds City Council, and I hesitate to say this because they probably will never work with me again. I think maybe occasionally they should, if they could get their departments talking to each other, I think that would be useful. I think if there was a joined up vision of how the city should be. Feels a little bit all fur coat and no knickers, as my old music teacher would have said when I was at school. Shiny, shiny, shiny. But actually, maybe what it needs is for the Christmas tree to not be quite as tall. Maybe what it needs is for you to... I'd like them to look at things from a bottom-up perspective, not a top-down. I feel like it's governed, and I think the people in a place know what's best for a place, so we should ask the people in the place, and they will probably do a better job than someone who's trying to manage it from the top down. Leeds with the 2023 thing, don't feel like what's going to come out of that is going to be stuff that's about it's about and for the people of Leeds. Certainly not from the less well-off areas. I feel like it's going to be stuff that looks shiny and may attract international investment.
Which is not going to help the average person living in Beeston
Holbeck's great and really nice to go and hang out in, but Holbeck existed before they pumped money into it. And I don't feel like that. I feel like it's, it's great for people who want to hire offices, but not necessarily great for the people who were living and or working there previously. Is that balanced?
Yeah, I agree.
I'll still pay me council tax, don't get me wrong.
And Oh, well, sometimes when we don't get snow when I think we should, I always feel like ringing them and saying, well, can I just have a discount this year? But apparently it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I was doing my tax return this year. I was like, I'll just have a clap for him.
Yeah, they
HMRC.
love that.
There you
They
go.
love it
That's
when
for
that
you.
happens. We'll all stand outside on a Wednesday for 20 seconds. And if you were talking to somebody who had been a long time resident of Leeds, would you be able to tell them about something that you think is a hidden gem and that they might never have heard of?
That's tricky, innit? If they're a long-term resident, because I always feel like a bit of a
Yeah.
pretender. There is a bar in Leeds. I know I've talked about bars a lot. I would like to go to a bar.
Oh, I very much like to go to a bar.
Do you know, is it called the Maven? Have you
I've
heard
heard of the Maven, but I can't.
No, well, this is what's clever about the Maven. The Maven only appears after 5 drinks. So it's somewhere around the Corn Exchange, but I've never seen it when I've been there during the day. I don't know where it is. I don't know if I've dreamt it. But if you can find the Maven, I think that's cool. And then while I am thinking bars, just to really pigeonhole myself. Have you seen the one? What's the one that you have to go? It's in one of the arcades. I don't even know what it's called. Again, I happened upon it one night. I think I was out with the band, and then someone we were walking down, like, not Queen's Arcade, one of those arcades, and then there were some bouncers outside a hairdressers, and I went through the hairdressers, and then there's a bar inside.
I've heard of that. Yeah, is it called a Domino Club or something?
But it felt like it felt like, you know, living in New York Prohibition era. Like, I really felt like I found a secret. If you've not done that thing, I'd definitely take someone there on the sly. It feels super exciting.
That's definitely on my list to have a go at once we're free.
My
to
round, mate. I'll
again.
get you one.
Oh, lovely. I'll definitely look forward to that. I always ask people if they've got a track they'd like to feature by a Leeds-based musician or artist. And obviously, we're going to play See What I Can See by Music from the Attic, which is just a lovely song. It's just joyous. And I'm going to put the link to the YouTube video as well.
Bless you.
It's so great. And also you chose a song called, do you pronounce it Corinne?
Yeah, Corinne Bailey Ray. Yeah.
Oh, right,
yeah. So one of the things Hope and Social did and would like to do again, we did a project called Crypt Covers. Our studio's in the crypt of a church over in Cleckuddersfax, over that way. And we did a project where we would collaborate with another artist or band, and we'd come in the morning, and then we'd ask their fans and our fans to send us all the suggestions of songs we should do. And then by the time we left, by midnight, we would have had to have finished a cover version of that song. And this one amazing. Was... it was us and a band called Dancing Years, who are Joseph Lawrence and David Henshaw, who've gone on to do other things now. And so this one was the Corinne Bailey Ray song, I'd Do It All Again. And yes, it's a beautiful song. And I get to hear Simon from Hope and Social's voice a lot, and I think it's great. I don't get to hear David from Dancing Years' voice quite as much, but it's beautiful, show-stopping,
it really
breathtaking.
Is. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, I'm really excited for people to be able to hear it. What will you be doing with the rest of your day today?
The rest of the day, well, I've switched into weekend mode. It's going to be Valentine's Day on Sunday, isn't it? So I did a beer cast the other week with a long-term friend. It was myself and Simon from Hope and Social and a good friend of ours. Called Leslie and his friend Darren, who's a bit of a beer expert. And I've just had a delivery in the post that my 7-year-old just brought up to me, and it sounds like liquid. So I think I'm probably going to crack open a beer, go and hang out, enjoy the fact that it's not homeschooling for the next week, have a beer with the awesome wife of mine, and I'm going to kick back.
That sounds put some tunes perfect. On. That awesome. Sounds perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming and speaking to me. And I'm sure at some point I'll be able to meet people in real life and actually get to see people that I've spoken to on the podcast.
Amazing. I look forward to it very much. Keep on doing all the good stuff. Love what you do.
Thank you very much. Speak soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
In this great city, we'll tell you. Wait a minute.
Hello, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed the conversation I had with Rich just as much as I enjoyed having it. It was real good fun to have along on the podcast. As soon as I finish speaking, you will get to hear the song by Music from the Attic, See What I Can See. It's a beautiful track. I have played it on a previous podcast, but I think it's worth repeating because it's just lovely, and I love the idea behind it. The Kirkstall Educational Cricket Club getting together, lapsed musicians getting out their dusty instruments and working together to make a brilliant song. The video is really great too, so if you want to click on that in the links on the podcast notes, I think you would really enjoy it and it's worth a watch. The second song that Rich is featuring is I'd Do It All Again, which is a cover of a Corinne Bailey Rae song. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's by Hope and Social and also by Dancing Years. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Stay safe, everybody. Try and stay happy. Try and get outside for a walk, even though it's miserable and horrible. Let's all keep the faith, keep looking after each other, keep our hands clean, and hopefully soon we'll be out the other side of this terrible time. Speak to you soon, everybody. Bye.
Oh, you're searching for something I know won't make you happy. Oh, you're thirsting for something I know won't make you happy.
it all again. You broke another skin. It's hard to believe this time, hard to believe
that my heart's an open door. You got all you came for, baby.
so weary. Someone to love is bigger than your pride's world.
It's bigger than the pain you got, for it hurts.
That rolls all off the silence.
It's terrifying life through the darkness.
I'll do it all again. Oh, I'll do it all again. Oh, I'll do it all again. Oh, I'll do it all again.
You try sometimes, but it won't
You
stop.
got my heart and my head's lost. Oh, yeah.
I've been burning down these candles for love, for love.
So one to love is bigger than your pride. Someone to love. 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 And I'll do it all again. Someone to You're searching for something I know won't make you happy.